She was sent to spy on them, but ended up protecting them with her life. A prophecy. A child born with untold power. And a stepmother, hiding something monstrous behind her Sunday smile. In a house ruled by secrets, one butler stands against the darkness. But when truth fails, what's left? This story is a thrilling blend of mystery, magic, family betrayal, and silent battles fought in plain sight. Will Stephanie be able to protect the children? Can she expose Mary before it's too late? And what happens when truth isn't enough to break a spell? Let's find out now on Naranova.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. You can like and share this video too, as this will help us grow and encourage us to do more exciting stuff. Okay, let's get back to it.
Chapter 1. The Butler in Silk. The Grand Barry estate stood like a castle of secrets, nestled between rows of old whispering trees. Ivy curled around the gates like enchanted vines, and the walls inside were thick with history, both spoken and buried. When Stephanie arrived, she was not what anyone expected for a house butler. She wore a cream-colored trench coat that fluttered as she walked, with boots that clicked like clockwork on the marble floors. Her posture screamed confidence, her gaze calculated but warm. She was tall, glowing, and unervingly elegant for someone supposedly employed in service. From the moment she stepped foot into the estate, she felt it, the thick air of spiritual residue. Magic, old and clashing, still lingered in corners, like echoes of unseen wars. Her orders had been simple. Observe. She was dispatched from the inner council of the witch realm to monitor the Barry family. One of the 3 Barry children, Elora, Thomas, or little Jonathan, was prophesied to be born with a rare witch trait, a powerful gift that could shift the balance in their world. Her task was to identify which child and report back to her superiors. But fate had other plans. Stephanie hadn't anticipated the children. Sweet Elora with her curious eyes, Thomas with his protective instincts far beyond his 12 years, and Jonathan, the baby boy with a quiet sadness that weighed down his laughter. They were not spoiled rich brats like she imagined. They were hidden, tucked away, hurt. Her first encounter with Mrs. Mary Barry confirmed what her instincts whispered. Mary was captivating, impeccably dressed, her voice soft as lace, her movements angelic. But her eyes. Stephanie knew those eyes. She had seen them in the dark forests of the Northern Coven, wolves in the form of women. Mary welcomed her with a smile that didn't reach her soul. "It's such a blessing to have someone like you," she said sweetly. "The children need discipline and structure. I hope you won't be too soft." Stephanie only smiled. Children don't need discipline. They need love. Mary's expression didn't flinch, but Stephanie noticed the faint tightening of her grip on the china teacup. From that day, the game began. Subtle but strategic. While Mary plotted in shadows, Stephanie operated in light. She cooked for the children herself, sneaked them books and stories, patched bruises with ointments, both herbal and magical, and stood like a wall between them and the cruelty that stalked their dreams. She knew what Mary was. She didn't yet know how powerful. But she also knew this wasn't just an assignment anymore. Stephanie was no ordinary butler. She had once trained among the elite guardians of the witch realm. Her elegance was her camouflage. Her fashion was her armor. And this house, this strange, beautiful, cursed house, was now her battleground. She wasn't just going to observe anymore. She was going to protect, no matter what the council said. Chapter 2. Shadows Behind the Curtains. Stephanie's first full week at the Barry estate revealed more than any prophecy scroll could have warned her about. The house, while elegant and pristine on the outside, was more of a cage for the children within. A cage wrapped in silk, perfumed and polished, but a cage nonetheless. At 7 p.m. sharp each night, the children were sent to their rooms. The doors locked from the outside. No bedtime stories. No goodnight kisses. Just silence, thick and cruel. Elora once whispered through the crack in her door, "We're only allowed to speak when spoken to." That sentence lingered with Stephanie long after the girl had gone quiet. She started noticing things. Marks on Thomas's arm that he claimed were from falling during play, even though they were shaped suspiciously like wooden cane lashes. Elora's uneaten meals, scraped into the bin by Mary when no one was looking. Jonathan's nightmares, screaming out in the dead of night, and how Mary pretended not to hear them. Stephanie's blood boiled. It was her past all over again. Back in her own childhood, her stepmother had been a cruel witch, masking torment with smiles and carefully chosen lies. Stephanie had learned to survive through cleverness and secrecy. She had sworn then, as a child hiding in cupboards from a woman who smiled too much in public, that she would never let another innocent endure what she had. And now here she was, reliving it. But this time, she wasn't the helpless one. She had power. And she had a plan. Mary, for her part, played the perfect hostess. Church on Sundays, charity events on Thursdays, an ever-expanding wardrobe of modest but expensive gowns. She had the neighborhood fooled, and even Mr. Barry seemed convinced he had found solace in her after Helen's death. But Stephanie saw beyond the lace. She began keeping a journal, documenting the strange behavior she noticed. Mary's sudden disappearances at night, the secret books hidden in the attic, the whispers in a language not of this world that Mary muttered beneath her breath when she thought no one was listening. Stephanie also noticed how Mr. Barry seemed duller around Mary, as though his soul had a permanent fog hanging over it. She caught him staring blankly at walls, forgetting basic things, like what day it was, or how his daughter got the cut on her cheek. Mary had done something to him. Stephanie was sure of it now. But she couldn't strike too soon. She needed allies. She needed evidence. And above all, she needed time. The children, slowly but surely, began to open up to her. Thomas trusted her first, sneaking into the kitchen at night, finding her sipping herbal tea and reading dusty books of magic from her private shelf. Elora followed next. Even little Jonathan, usually silent and guarded, started giggling when Stephanie told him bedtime stories through the vents. She was making progress. But she knew one thing for sure. Mary knew exactly who Stephanie was. And the clock was ticking.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. You can like and share this video too, as this will help us grow and encourage us to do more exciting stuff. Okay, let's get back to it.
Chapter 3. Perfume and Poison. It was a Tuesday afternoon when the first real attack came. Stephanie had just returned from taking the children on a brief walk around the estate's private garden, a rare break from their locked-in routine. She had convinced Mr. Barry that sunlight might improve their mood. He nodded absently, as he often did lately, lost behind eyes that used to sparkle with clarity. When they returned, a tray of tea was already waiting in the sitting room. The porcelain cups were warm, the scent floral, calming. Too calming. Stephanie didn't drink hers. She'd been trained to detect more than just emotional shifts. The hint of bellflower root was unmistakable, a magical sedative often used in low doses to numb willpower and bend the drinker's trust toward the provider. Mary sat across from her, swirling her own cup with perfect posture. "It's so lovely to see the children smiling again," she said, her voice smooth as velvet. Stephanie met her gaze and smiled politely. "They've just been needing a little attention. And love." Mary's lips twitched. Sometimes too much love spoils a child. Discipline builds strength. Stephanie tilted her head, still smiling. "And bruises? What do they build?" For the briefest second, something flickered in Mary's eyes. Something feral. But it vanished behind her mask as quickly as it appeared. "I'm sure I don't know what you mean." Stephanie stood. "Of course not." From that day on, the war between them moved from subtle to spiritual. Stephanie fortified her room with protective wards, charms under the carpet, sigils stitched into her curtains. She cast listening spells to track movement in the hallways and slipped truth detection powder into Mary's tea just to observe how long she could lie before twitching. Mary responded in kind. Stephanie's favorite dress was shredded by a sudden gust of wind in a room with no open windows. Her journal disappeared for 2 days and returned with a page torn out, one that listed potential dates of when Mary vanished during the full moon. Elora found her beloved teddy bear floating face down in the koi pond, and no one had seen how it got there. The house grew colder. Mr. Barry didn't notice any of it. His face had grown pale, his energy sapped. Stephanie was convinced the spell on him wasn't just an emotional hold, it was feeding off him. Mary was draining him slowly, like a parasite. And yet he smiled at Mary. He still kissed her hand when she brought him tea. When he looked at her, his eyes were hollow, but loyal. The heartbreak hit Stephanie hardest at night, when the children finally fell asleep and the house became still. She would sit by the window and look out into the forest, wondering how such darkness could hide behind Sunday hats and hymns. The prophecy was clear: one of these children was destined for something powerful. That power would either be awakened or destroyed. And Mary wasn't going to wait. Chapter 4. The Mirror in the Basement. The Barry estate was full of locked doors. Stephanie had counted 11 on her first week, some with keys, some without, some that seemed to disappear entirely by morning. But there was one door at the far end of the basement corridor that stayed locked at all times, no matter the hour, no matter who asked. She noticed Mary always avoided it. Naturally, Stephanie was drawn to it. One rainy afternoon, while Mary was at her midweek church retreat and Mr. Barry was napping under another spell-laced cup of herbal tea, Stephanie made her move. She didn't need a key. Her fingers traced an unlocking sigil across the doorknob and whispered the incantation in the tongue of the hidden. The door groaned open, dust puffing out like it had held its breath for years. The air inside was cold, ancient. The room was nearly empty, save for one object. A massive, black-framed mirror stood in the center, uncovered, untouched. It shimmered faintly even though the room had no light. Stephanie's stomach twisted. This wasn't just any mirror. It was a witch gate, a powerful artifact used to conceal, spy, or even trap souls. Only old-world witches used them, and even fewer dared keep one active in their home. Why was it here? As she approached, her reflection didn't follow her perfectly. It lagged by half a second, its smile holding just a little too long. Her instincts screamed. She extended her hand, fingers just inches from the glass, and suddenly, the mirror flared with light. Images burst across the surface. A flash of Mary, standing over a hospital bed. A crying newborn. Helen, Mr. Barry's late wife, writhing in agony. Then blood. A ritual circle. And Mary's face, her eyes glowing, chanting something as Helen took her final breath. Stephanie yanked her hand back. She gasped, stumbling away. It was true. Mary had killed Helen. She had orchestrated the entire thing. The meeting, the comfort, the marriage. The nurse had never been a nurse. She had been a predator, posing as a savior. All to worm her way into the Barry family. All to control the prophecy from within. Stephanie staggered back upstairs, chest heaving. Her mind was reeling, but her purpose had never been clearer. This wasn't just about protecting the children anymore. It was about exposing Mary, liberating Mr. Barry, and preparing whichever of the children carried the gift for what was coming. She nearly crashed into Thomas on the landing. He was holding a wooden toy sword, breathless, eyes wide. "Stephanie," he whispered. "Elora's door locked on its own, and she's screaming. Something's happening." Stephanie ran past him before he could finish. Mary was back. Too early. And she had begun her next move. Chapter 5. Elora's Awakening. Stephanie didn't knock. She slammed her palm against Elora's bedroom door, muttering a quick unlocking spell laced with fire protection. The lock fought back, dark magic resisting her, but it wasn't strong enough. The bolt twisted, metal groaned, and the door burst open with a thud. Smoke. The room was thick with it, not from fire, but from something older. Ritual smoke. The kind used to disorient and weaken magical senses. "Elora!" Stephanie called out. The little girl was huddled in the corner, trembling, her tiny arms shielding her head. The shadows in the room moved like they were alive, crawling across the walls, whispering her name over and over. "Elora! Elora! You don't belong!" Stephanie charged forward and swept the girl into her arms. The smoke curled around them, forming faces. Mary's face, mocking, twisted. Stephanie hissed a banishment charm. "Lux exilium!" A burst of silver light shot from her palm, cutting through the dark. The shadows recoiled, shrieking, and the smoke vanished like steam. Elora clung to Stephanie, sobbing into her blouse. I thought I was going to disappear, she whispered. They kept saying I didn't belong here, that Daddy didn't want us, that Mommy died because of us. Stephanie's heart cracked. No, sweetheart, she whispered. That's a lie. All of it. You belong. You are everything they're afraid of. She meant it more than Elora could understand. This attack wasn't just about cruelty. Mary was trying to weaken Elora. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Which meant... Stephanie looked down at the girl in her arms, watching the faint shimmer of light glow beneath her skin. It flickered just once, like a pulse of power. Elora. She was the child from the prophecy. The one who could rewrite the balance of power in the witch realm. And Mary knew it. Stephanie tucked the girl into bed after triple layering the room with protection charms and spiritual locks. She brewed a calming herbal tea and sang a lullaby in Old Tongue, the same one her birth mother had once sung to her before vanishing into the magic wars. Outside Elora's door, Thomas waited with Jonathan. Their faces were pale, eyes questioning. Is Elora gonna be okay? Thomas asked. She'll be fine, Stephanie said gently. But things are going to get harder from here. What was that thing in her room? Jonathan asked, his voice small. Stephanie crouched to their level. Something very old and very bad. But I promise you, I won't let it touch you again. The boys nodded, but she saw the fear behind their brave expressions. Stephanie stood and took a long breath. She had to move faster. Mary was escalating. Her cover as a simple housewife was unraveling, and she was growing reckless. That made her dangerous, but also predictable. And it was time to prepare the children for what was coming. The war wasn't coming. It had already begun.
We hope you have enjoyed this amazing story. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, as it'd help us grow and encourage us to do more. Also, feel free to drop a comment about what you've learned too. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye, for now.